Yes, is my screen visible?
Yes, you can start. It's live.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this session. Welcome to 360DigiTMG session. Thank you for waiting for us. So there was a little bit of technical issue. That's why we delayed. Yes. Let's start talking about generative AI. So we've been listening about this buzzword here and now, right? Recently, it has taken a rise. So before we understand what is generative AI, I'd first like to talk to you about all these jargon words, right? What is AI? What is difference between artificial intelligence, machine learning, generative AI? So let's start talking about this first. So basically, AI, artificial intelligence, is a broad field of computer science. It basically focuses on creating systems which are capable of performing tasks that typically require some human intelligence. These tasks can include anything. They can include learning, reasoning, problem solving, perception, language understanding, okay? These kind of things. For example, imagine you have a computer program that can recognize and classify different types of artworks, such as paintings, sculptures, digital art. This program basically uses predefined set of rules and algorithms in order to analyze the features of each artwork, and then it will categorize these artworks accordingly. So this is what AI could do. Let's take the same example and talk about what machine learning will do. Machine learning is basically a subset of AI. It involves training algorithms to learn from data and improve their performance over the time without being explicitly programmed for such tasks. So ML models will identify these patterns and they will make decisions based on the data that they are trained on. For example, let's take the artwork classification program itself, and we can enhance it using the ML. Basically, you feed the program with thousands of images of different artworks, each labeled with its type. The ML model will learn from these examples and it becomes better at recognizing and classifying these new artworks that it hasn't seen before. Now, that is about ML and AI, but what will generative AI do? What is the new thing that generative AI brings into picture? So generative AI is basically a specialized area within machine learning, which will focus on creating new content. These models can generate new data samples that are similar to the training data that they were fed on before. So this can include creating new images, music files, text, so much more. For example, let's extend the same example that we were talking about further with GenAI. Instead of just classifying these artworks, existing artworks, you basically train a generative AI model on the same data set of artworks. Now, this model will create entirely new pieces of art that are inspired by the styles and features that it learned from. So basically, AI will generate original paintings, blending different styles and elements that it has learned. So this is how I can, demonstrate that GenAI is basically a specialized branch of ML, which focuses on creating a new content entirely together, right? Altogether, it will create a new content inspired by the training data. Fine. Now that this is clear, let's try to dive into the deeper concepts, right, of GenAI. Yes. Yeah. So it's basically a powerful offspring of these two parents, data science and ML. Okay. Basically, GenAI can be used by literally anybody. Okay. It can create new content. It can create more intelligent machines. It can learn from its examples. Okay. So yes, it is basically generating entirely new content, right? So if you're asking me to write a particular poem, it can start generating a new poem altogether. It can start completing the existing content. Let's say that you're writing a script or you're writing a story, and you can send this story, and generative AI will basically start imagining and thinking like a human being, and sort of complete your story or your content, your script itself. How interesting would that be, right? So personalized experience, you can tailor the content to your individual preference. Do you want a shorter content or a lengthy content? Do you want it in the form of a bullet point? Do you want it to create imaginative examples? So you can train it the way you want. Fine. Now that we know what generative AI is, let's move on and talk about what all it is capable of. Okay. So beyond mimicking, right? So for example, yeah. Okay. Yeah, beyond mimicking. So let's say that generative AI just doesn't just copy what it has seen, it starts learning from a large collection of images, music, or text to create something entirely new and unique. For example, let's take art. Instead of just copying a famous painting like Pablo Picasso, it will end up creating a new content, new painting altogether, inspired by the style of that painter. Let's take the example of music, right? Instead of composing, it basically will end up composing an original piece that has a similar feel to Beethoven, but it will be entirely new. Okay, then let's talk about depths of human creativity. For example, generative AI will explore the depths of creativity by finding patterns and connections in what it learns. And it will rearrange these and make new patterns and make something entirely new out of it. For example, writing and fashion, creating a new story by combining elements of different genres that it has learned. When it comes to fashion, it can start designing new clothing by blending styles from different eras. And if you talk about AI as an artist or a musician or a storyteller, generative AI is basically, likened to a new kind of artist, musician, and storyteller. It basically uses its knowledge of art, music, and stories in order to create fresh and original works, much like how humans do. For example, when it comes to art, it can start generating a new digital artwork that looks like it has been painted by a human. And music, producing a new song entirely that captures the emotional depth of a human composer. Stories, writing a new narrative that feels engaging and imaginative, like any human author would do. So we can say that generative AI is basically more than just a copycat. It learns from a lot of data and creates new original content by identifying patterns and mixing them in the innovative ways. So it's like having a super smart artist or a musician or a storyteller, and at the same time, all in one. Basically, it's capable of producing fresh and creative work in various different fields. Fine. Let's go ahead and talk about historical journey of generative AI. Okay, so 1960s, you can look at this. There were rule-based systems. So basically, in the early days, AI systems were rule-based. These systems followed some strict set of rules to perform the task. For example, ELIZA, an early natural language processing computer that could mimic some conversation. Then let's talk about SHRDLU. This was basically a program that could understand respond to commands in a limited structured environment. Then a lot of progress happened between the 1970s to 1980s. You can see that statistical and probability models gave a rise. So basically, AI began to incorporate statistical methods and probability models in order to make more informed decisions. For example, hidden Markov models, Bayesian networks, information theory, spins, candidate, different things, right? Then we saw a lot more progress when it comes to 1990s. We saw advanced statistics. So AI techniques advanced with more sophisticated statistical models and the introduction of early machine learning algorithms. For example, WordNet, it is basically a large lexical database of English, and IBM Watson, an AI that uses NLP, natural language processing, and machine learning, ML, to answer questions posed in normal human language, right? Then came the 2000s. In the 2000s, machine learning started advancing, right? So the development of more advanced machine learning models, including various types of neural networks. You can imagine support vector machines, which will do classification, regression tasks, then neural networks for a variety of applications, including image and speech recognition. Then word embeddings, RNN, LSTMs, GRU, different kind of things evolved. Then let's talk about what's happening between since 2010 to the current day. Basically, we're deep diving into deep learning revolution, wherein you can see that the rise of deep learning brought about significant advancements in AI capabilities, driven by neural networks with many, many layers. For example, attention mechanisms, transformers. These models basically improved the performance of NLP tasks. And then came along LLMs, large language models, such as BERT, Roberta, GPT, BART, and T5. They basically revolutionize the way AI understands and generates the text. And finally, in 2020s, we can see that statistical and ethical considerations are basically the trend now. And the new models, examples could be DAL-E, March, MARG, Falcon, R2, etc., which are basically two. And eventually, these things will also raise some ethical considerations. So let's move on and talk about them as well, right? Okay, fine. When we look at this, we can see that basically we're trying to of these LLMs that are taking that are actually taking over our daily life as well, right? So in November 2022, basically ChatGPT was basically developed by an company called as OpenAI. It's basically a conversational AI model which can understand and generate human-like tests. And for example, where can I use this ChatGPT, right? Content creation, basically helping writers to generate ideas, draft articles, stories, etc. Then customer support as well, basically assisting users with some common queries or troubleshooting. Then came along LangChain. LangChain was basically created by Harrison Chase and Jerry Liu. It's a tool designed to integrate language models with various applications. Okay, it can assist researchers in shifting through vast amounts of data, academic papers, etc. Also, it can provide a lot of accurate business insights. Then comes along Langflow, basically developed by GeoPyto AI and MatFlowWise AI. Basically, Langflow/Flowwise basically introduces frameworks for managing the flow of language models. Okay, so workflow automation, interactive bots, all of these can be performed, right? Then comes GPT, private GPT. So it was basically developed by Prompt ING company. GPT Private GPT was basically designed to offer secure and private implementations of these GPT models for businesses in order for secure communication, custom solutions, right? And in 2024, we still expect continued advancement, and basically we can further improve in understanding context, nuances, and generating more accurate and relevant responses from these generative AI things. Okay, now let's talk about beyond our fantasy. What are the real world applications of GenAI? Why should I even use this GenAI, right? So generative AI basically has the potential to transform various aspects of our lives by creating personalized solutions in medicine, aiding in climate change mitigation, revolutionizing our education industry, driving a lot of product innovation, and enhancing our communication. These applications will demonstrate the vast potential of AI in order to solve real-world problems and improve our quality of life. For example, let's talk about personalized medicine example, right? So a patient with a rare genetic disorder receives a custom-made drug designed by AI, which targets their specific genetic mutation, resulting in better treatment outcomes. Okay, what about climate change solutions? Governments basically use AI simulations to test different environmental policies and choose the ones that will most effectively reduce carbon emissions without harming our economy. Then what about education industry? So basically, a student struggling with mathematics can receive personalized exercises and explanations generated by GenAI, helping them improve their understanding and performance. Innovation in product design. Okay, so basically an AI tool can help designers create a new line of eco-friendly, ergonomical design furniture, which will meet both the aesthetics and functional requirements. Imagine how great a national business meeting. AI provides real-time translations, thus allowing these participants from different countries to communicate seamlessly. All right. Now let's try to understand, beyond our imagination, what all GenAI can perform, right? So, okay. So basically, using GNs, generative adversarial networks, what all we could do. So to generate new pieces of art, they can mimic style. We can do, I'd say, variational, for allowing for basically original artworks inspired by historical styles. So different things that we can generate. Okay, let's talk about how variational autoencoders can help us, right? Basically, using these VAEs, we can generate new text that follows the style of classic literature, creating modern stories that feel like they were written in the past. Latent spaces, all right. So exploring latent spaces to generate different design concepts for products, such as varying shapes and colors for a new line of furniture. Okay, what about transformers and attention mechanisms? For example, deploying a transformer-based model like GPT-3 will allow you to create chatbots that can hold realistic and meaningful conversation with the user. So these are the different concepts and technologies that are used behind GenAI. Right. Let's move on. So basically, you can see that GenAI can actually start creating a new painting itself, right? Which can mimic the style of an artist that it already knows. Okay. How does GenAI enhance the creativity? How does it work? Okay. Let's talk about this. Yes. Okay. So basically, let's. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So basically, nature photography, right? Generative AI is basically using large data sets of nature photography in order to create some highly realistic images. These images can capture intricate details such as texture of a mountain range, veins inside a leaf, or the way sunlight will filter through a forest canopy. Concept art also, right? So generative AI can basically be used to create concept art for various media, including video games, movies, landscape design. It helps these artists visualize and develop their ideas by generating new and unique concepts. For example, when it comes to video games, AI can generate imaginative worlds, characters, and environments, which will provide a starting point for these game designers. And in turn, they can keep their users much involved. This will directly impact on their productivity and increasing revenue. How do you enhance the photos or your pictures, right? So it can improve existing photos by adding details or removing some unwanted elements. This process can enhance the overall quality and appeal of the image. For example, touch-ups. It can also allow you to enhance your damaged photos by filling in the missing parts and improving clarity and generating new worlds. So AI can entirely create new and fantastical nature creatures, nature scenes also, limited only by imagination. This capability will basically allow for the exploration of creative possibilities that are not bound by reality. For example, fictional ecosystems, right? Creating new ecosystems with imaginary creatures and plants suitable for use in storytelling and entertainment. A layman example that I could give you could be the movie Avatar, right? Okay. So yes, by you can generate these kind of images. Look at this amazing house, right? Okay. Now, what is the role of GenAI in basically healthcare? it can actually contribute in, drug discovery, medical imaging, personalized medicine, population management. Let's talk about each of molecular data, and it can identify promising drug targets and accelerate the creation of new medicines. For example, developing novel medicines. AI can basically design new compounds that can be tested and developed into drugs faster than the conventional methods. What about medical imaging? Let's take an example of improved diagnostic accuracy. AI can basically highlight areas of concern in medical images, aiding radiologists in identifying issues like tumors or lesions, which can be detrimental, right? Then let's talk about personalized medicine. Basically, AI can analyze a patient's genetic data, and it can predict the conditions, risk conditions such as heart diseases or diabetes, allowing for early intervention, right? It can also create customized treatment plans. So personalized therapies can be developed in order to match a patient's unique genetic profile, thus improving the effectiveness of the treatment. Okay, so let's talk about how it can also impact our climate change, which is a dire matter of concern right now. So it's basically offers powerful tools to combat our climate change by optimizing energy use, creating sustainable materials, improving climatic predictions. Sorry, these innovations can contribute to a more sustainable and resilient future. So AI and energy, for example, an AI system can predict energy demand spikes in real time, allowing utility companies to balance their supply and demand efficiently, further reducing reliance on the fossil fuel power plants. And generative AI can also be used for sustainability. For example, developing a new type of bioplastic that decomposes naturally in the environment, reducing plastic pollution and conserving resources. Then let's talk about AI for climate, right? For example, using an AI to create detailed climatic models that predict the effects of rising sea levels in the coastal cities, helping the planners develop effective flood defense systems, because it's always a danger, to live around the sea area, a coastal region, basically. Okay, let's talk about the creative revolution that it has taken us through. So generative AI is basically it's basically poised to revolutionize various fields by creating personalized music, interactive stories, custom fashion, eco-friendly materials, smarter energy grids, and advanced climate models. These innovations basically highlight the immense potential of AI to enhance our lives and address these global challenges. Music example, right? An AI generated soundtrack that adjusts its tempo and mood based on the activity you're doing. For example, when you're working out, or when you're relaxing, or when you're studying. Storytelling, basically, choose your own adventure book where the AI adapts the story based on your choices. Fashion, an online fashion service that uses AI to design and recommend clothes that fit your body perfectly and match your personal style. Eco-friendly materials. For example, developing a new type of biodegradable packaging that decomposes quickly without harming the environment. Smarter grids, implementing an AI system that manages the city's energy grid. Imagine integrating solar and wind power to ensure a steady and sustainable energy supply. We would never go out of power. Future-proofed climate example, right? For example, an AI-powered, climate model which starts predicting the impact of these rising sea levels in the coastal cities, right? We can be better prepared for a tsunami or any other natural disaster like floods. Many, many more useful creations. Right. Let's talk about the road ahead and how, we need to be responsible. So let's talk about fairness in AI. An AI art generator trained on a diverse set of artworks from various cultures and time periods producing art that will basically reflect a wide range of human experiences and perspectives. And the enigma of black box, right? An AI model that provides a visual explanation of how it generated a particular piece of art, showing the influence of different training images and decisions made during the creation process. Ethical canvas, a legal framework that basically defines the ownership rights of an AI generated art, ensuring that both the AI developers and the users have clear guidelines on how the art can be used or shared. Okay. Let's talk about unboxing the GenAI challenges on the way, and what are the things that have to be highlighted, right? Okay. Yeah. Once again, I would say that let's try and talk about fairness AI art, how we can be a bit more fair. For example, the risk that AI trained, there is a risk that AI trained on this bias data, they produce outputs that reflect those biases, resulting in non-inclusive or discriminatory art. Addressing this challenge will involve using diverse training sets and implementing these techniques to mitigate some bias. All right. Fine. And let's finally conclude, right? Let's try to understand whether GenAI is actually a boon for our creativity or is it a curse? So let's first discuss the positives, the pros. Okay, it helps you boost creativity. Basically, generative AI can generate new ideas, designs, and content across various fields, enhancing human creativity. For example, art and design. So basically, AI tools will help the artists and designers in order to create new innovative works by generating new styles and concepts. And when it comes to music composition, AI systems that can compose original music, providing inspiration and new compositions from musicians. Then let's talk about efficiency, right? Automating tasks, basically saving our time. AI can automate repetitive and time consuming tasks, saving time and resources. For example, content creation, automating the generation of articles, social media posts, and marketing materials. Data analysis, using AI to quickly analyze large data sets, identifying patterns and insights, and more efficient, and insights more efficiently than any manual person could do. Personalization. Generative AI can create tailored experiences based on the user's preference, enhancing user engagement and satisfaction. For example, personalized recommendations. AI-driven recommendation systems that suggest products, movies, or music based on individual preferences. Custom learning paths. Educational platforms which will adapt the content to the learner's pace and interest, providing a more personalized learning experiences. So those are the pros. Let's talk about the cons. Let's see if there are many, right? Okay. Cons could be, I would say, ethical concerns, right? So developing a legal framework which will define the ownership rights of AI-generated content. It basically ensures proper attribution and compensation for human creators. Then misuse of the basically misuse potential, right? So implementing AI detection tools in order to identify and mitigate the spread of deep fakes and misinformation on the social media platforms. This basically spreads like viral, right? Things getting viral. Job displacement example. For example, offering reskilling and upskilling programs for workers in creative and analytical sectors to prepare them for the new roles that complement the AI technologies. So, this buzzword keeps going around, or, this news is very prevalent that, AI is going to replace a lot of jobs. But instead of us looking at it that way, why don't we try to implement these AI tools that are handy to us in actually improving our job itself? Once we learn to automate and delete these manual work, we can actually end up retaining our job and actually create a lot more with it, right? So let's end it on a positive note. Thank you for the session, guys. Thank you for connecting with us today. So if you like our content, please stay connected. We'll basically discuss a lot more about GenAI. This is just the beginning. Thank you for joining us today. I'll see you all later. Thank you. And thank you for joining the 360 DigiTMG live. Please subscribe to us, like, share, comment. Thank you.